You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
From New York City, the day after Thanksgiving. Wonderful day outside and inside Madison Square Garden. College basketball tournament action. Rodney Magruder, a little bit of a struggle to the start of his senior season for Kansas State. Today trying to lead the Wildcats to a win against Trey Burke and Michigan. Burke, the Big Ten's freshman of the year, and off to a great start to his sophomore season. The NIT season tip-off championship game is next. Welcome to Madison Square Garden and the NIT season tip-off, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Fourth-ranked Michigan and Kansas State playing for the championship. And here's how the Wildcats got there. They struggled with their shot. They needed inside play, and they went to Thomas Gibson, who came up with 12.6 rebounds. Kansas State getting by Delaware by 3. And as for fourth-ranked Michigan, wasn't easy. They trailed Pittsburgh at half. They were down 7 in the second half. But Trey Burke, Glenn Robinson, the third, freshman, and Tim Hardaway Jr., 11 of his 16 points coming in the second half. Michigan wins over Pittsburgh to advance to this championship game. And here are the brackets. We're down to 2 in the NIT season tip-off. Number 4 Michigan against Kansas State. And we welcome you courtside to Madison Square Garden with Dan Dockich, Doris Burke. I'm Mark Kestisher. Dan, what do you expect Kansas State and Michigan tonight?
Well, first let me say what a thrill it is to work with Doris Burke in the Garden.
On her birthday.
How about that? We're going to sing later. For Michigan, transition offense. They want to get the ball down the floor. The coaching staff knows when you play against a Bruce Weber coach team, they can lock in on you defensively, and then they've got to keep Kansas State off the backboard. 18 offensive rebounds Kansas State had against Delaware. For Kansas State, contain Trey Burke, and make sure you find somebody inside. We talked about Thomas Gibson, 12 and 6. He was the difference. Diaz, Henriquez, or Gibson. Somebody's got to give him something inside.
Doris, take us to our one-on-one for this matchup.
Well, Bruce Weber told us earlier today, Trey Burke is the guy in transition because he only scored one half-court bucket against Pittsburgh the other night. This guy's explosive, one of the better players in the entire nation. And if the depth and rebounding and interior scoring is going to help Kansas State compete in this game, it's got to come from all 6'7", 270 pounds of Thomas Gibson.
And he'll come off the bench as we check out our starting lineups for Kansas State. Angel Rodriguez joining Rodney Magruder in that backcourt, and Will Spradling, a sophomore who really is thriving in Bruce Weber's system his first year in Manhattan, Kansas. And for the fourth-ranked Michigan Wolverines, you know these last names, sons of pretty impressive players. Glenn Robinson III, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Trey Burke coming back for his sophomore season. John Beilein has quite a crew in Ann Arbor and off to a 4-0 start. And he's got a lot of folks very interested in Michigan basketball. They seem to be back on top of the heap once again after a while.
It's no real surprise. I mean, the job that John Beilein did at West Virginia, getting them to the Elite 8 in his third year, in my opinion, Doris, is the best coaching job I've seen in NCAA basketball in the time that I've been in it, and I've been in it since 1983. He's just a phenomenal coach.
Well, you've been around him in all of his years at Michigan, and I asked him this before the game. He wouldn't commit because he was blown up on his phone by his former West Virginia players. Is this the best roster in 35 years of coaching for John Beilein?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, his team, now, is it going to play as well as his West Virginia teams of Pittsnagel and his son Patrick and Air and those guys? I don't know, but it's certainly in terms of talent, in my opinion, no question about it.
We are underway at the Garden. John Cal, Michael Stevens, Roger Ayers are officials. And Michigan will have the crowd as the lower bowl in Madison Square Garden has filled. An amazing blue here, trying to see Michigan start its season 5-0. This is Burke surveying the defense and throws it away, trying to find Bobridge. Rodriguez gets a shot off. And Morgan wrestles it away from Enriquez.
I think Rodriguez is important. I think his decision-making, his shot selection, and how well he gets Kansas State into their offense and how efficiently they can run it is important.
I don't think there's any doubt. He's a guy that over-penetrates too much once in a while. He'll get too deep, as you saw right there, and have to do something throwing the ball up and throwing it away.
Now, that doesn't look like a turnover last time, but that might as well be a turnover. Bad shot's the same thing in my estimation.
Doris, you can always get a bad shot.
Yes.
Jordan Enriquez, one of 3 players from Kansas State coming back home to New York, and a whistle up high off that switch. Jordan Morgan will get tagged with his first personal.
Okay, you're a coach, Dan. Your reaction to Mr. Morgan committing that foul.
Exactly what John Beeline says. Look right here. Mitch McGary's coming in for him. Because, Doris, you know a guy's not ready to play if he's going to commit that foul. And this is the second game in a row. Matt Vogrid's got beat twice in the first 2 minutes the other night against Pittsburgh. Took him right out. It's the value of having a deep bench and trusting that bench.
Mitch McGary, rather, one of the exciting freshmen on the floor now for Michigan.
Yeah, at one point in time, number 4 for Michigan was the #1 rated high school recruit in the country. He ended up in the top 20, fell a little bit, but at one point he was #1.
7 seconds to shoot. Spradling gets an open shot. Offensive work contested for, but ripped away by Robinson III. Burke with that great explosive step into the front court, tipped out of bounds by Spradling. He is one quick player.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Rodriguez, we talk about what he has to do offensively, Dan. He's got to try to stay in front of Trey Burke, which is no easy job. Do you like what you've seen defensively first couple possessions from Rodriguez?
I think it's been great.
Yeah.
I think it's been great. And to your point, watch number 13. He doesn't have to pressure Burke, but exactly what you said. He has to keep him in front. If he gets too close, Burke's going to beat him. But just keeping him in front is huge. Because Burke will make a bad pass if he doesn't have room and if he sees a defender in front of him.
Here's Burke attacking the lane. Hardaway Jr. And the rebound to Kansas State. Both teams 0 for 2 from the field. Another open jumper, Magruder. Uncharacteristic the way he has started his senior campaign. A block foul called.
You know what? Well, here you're going to see a little bit of defense, and the official, you see him trailing. I don't want to get on officials early, but that official didn't hustle, and he didn't see the left arm. In the NBA, that's a charge. The NBA does a great job of getting in position and seeing the extension of the arm.
Okay. So the other night I'm in my living room listening to you call the game, and you said, I'm going to say one thing about the official, and then I'm done. And then 5 seconds later, you said something else, and John Saunders said to you, I thought you were done.
Kansas State's number 22, Rodney Magruder.
I'm a big fan of officials, except when they make a bad call.
Listen, I've sat next to Fran Fraschilla as well, and here's the difference between you guys, and this is why you're passionate about it. You've had skin in the game at one point, so obviously the officials and the job they do have an impact on your ability to coach basketball games. But I was smiling in my living room, Mr. Dawkins.
What they really have an impact on is your family life, your health, your happiness, your self-worth.
In that order?
Pretty much.
Hardaway off of one leg, knocks it in from the right side.
That's good. You're going to see between him and Glenn Robinson Jr. or the third, they jump up nice with really nice strokes.
Williams hit the basket. They're getting a little bit of daylight here, just not able to knock down the shots. And a turnover by Michigan. Rodriguez, sophomore season from Miami. Spradling. Magruder picks up the loose ball. And it's Burke who chases it down.
Something important that's happening early for Michigan. Their guards are helping on the glass. Okay, we've seen Hardaway get his hand on a couple of balls. Burke gets that one. The guys inside are going to be engaged with the bodies of Kansas State, and therefore the guards have got to compete on the glass as well.
Kansas State substitution.
100% because when you look out here, the one trait that is in Kansas State's favor is simple dunk. Like, you know, you look at Thomas Gibson, number 42. I mean, he is massive.
That is a big dude.
Because McGary's a big dude, too. But they've got 2 big dudes out there right now. And you're right. Guards have to clean up everything. Wouldn't be surprised if Trey Burke doesn't lead the team in rebounding. They're just picking up extra loose changes, after he said.
Speaking of big dudes, number 50, DJ Johnson, in trying to guard Glenn Robinson III. Knocks down the top.
I'll tell you what, if Robinson, Hardaway, and if Stauskas comes off the bench and makes shots, good luck checking Michigan. Good luck.
Stauskas is really good. And the coaching staff thinks he has swagger when he comes in the game. He's looking to shoot. Jump up a little bit.
Highest ranking in 16 years for Michigan, coming in at number 4. Here's a big boy matchup. Gibson underneath. And look at the crash to the glass for Michigan.
Complete different game Michigan is playing than Delaware did against Kansas State on the backcourt.
Gary will get himself to the free throw line.
Kansas State's number 42, Thomas Gibson.
Glenn Robinson III. A lot of these rookies from Michigan don't play like rookies. Nice and smooth, pretty looking jumper.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. And the new Kia Optima Limited midsize sedan. Elegance, performance, technology.
Michigan holding Kansas State scoreless in the opening 4.5 minutes. We got a guy who keeps some people scoreless in the house. The great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I think when the discussion of the greatest players of all time comes around, nobody mentions him. And for me personally, he would be either number 1 or number 2 for what I remember him to be. I don't know what you feel, Doris, but that guy never gets talked about as the greatest of all time. And you can put whatever he did as a basketball player up against anybody, anytime, anywhere.
I was a Laker fan. Well, I'm an East Coast girl. When the Lakers and Celtics were squaring off, I was a Laker fan. So I was a huge Kareem fan. 75th anniversary of March Madness. So they're honoring the moments. Kareem, Christian Laettner, and one Mr. David Thompson will be honored at halftime of this game. Those are pretty good names.
Wow. I mean, I just remember as a kid I was a Bulls fan and he was with Milwaukee, and you had to, like, every time he got the ball, it's like, okay, you can't stop him, he's going to make a shot.
Triple team.
Yeah, that was it.
I was telling Doris earlier, I'm feeling old. That's 20 years ago, the shot against Duke for Christian Laettner.
It's unbelievable. We were in a plane. We had just gotten to the Final Four in Indiana, beat UCLA, and we thought we were playing Kentucky when Sean Woods hit the shot.
Sean Woods in the news today as well. We had a chance to speak with Derek Wittenberg earlier. Of course, the great NC State win of 1983. Meanwhile, Kansas State trying to get some points here. And Will Spradling with a triple quickly cuts the deficit in half.
Spradling looks like a different player to me. You mentioned that he's really benefited from Bruce Weber. He's doing more things, doing things with better confidence. At both ends of the floor, rebound, his defense is much better. Bruce Weber's really helped him.
Well, how about the antithesis of styles between Frank Martin and Bruce Weber? They're just coming from completely different, vantage points and approach.
Of course, I will say that in my time doing walkthroughs, Bruce Weber got after his team in Illinois harder than I've seen anybody. I mean, he's a nice guy with a great demeanor, but I've seen him go off, and I kind of liked it.
Yeah. Listen, I love, first of all, and I said this on the first game, this guy, amongst your contemporaries and colleagues, he's considered, I know things did not go at Illinois the way they had hoped after the first national championship game appearance. Amongst coaches, this guy is considered amongst the best in the business tactician-wise, yes?
Absolutely, and it doesn't work out at Illinois. He immediately has a big-time job here at Kansas State by the time the Final Four rolls around. So that tells you what people inside college basketball, whether it's athletic directors, coaches, whoever, thinking.
Trey Burke and Michigan out to the 5-point lead. This is Nick Stauskas, freshman. Excellent shooter and also can get to the rack.
I'll tell you what, put it on the deck. He had to get his hip by, right? That's like a shoulder getting by with a running back. That was beautifully done.
And a loose ball foul against Kansas State, and DJ Johnson the other way.
Exactly what Doris said. You see he gets by, but look at the right hand on the left side. What that tells me is that Nick Stauskas has played a bunch of basketball unsupervised, meaning it always hasn't had to be in a practice. He's played a lot on the street. He's played a lot against his friends. He's played a lot of one-on-one just to be able to make that shot.
Stauskas from the Toronto area. Grew a lot the last 2 years. I think he's grown about 7 inches, retained the guard skills, and we saw that on that drive to the basket.
One of the things that Michigan staff, Jeff Meyer, told me is that he has real swag. Like he's kind of a cocky kid, not kind of a cocky kid, a very cocky kid about his own abilities, and you can't name a great player that isn't.
5 to shoot for the Wolverines. Robinson had it deflected by Johnson. Martavius Irving gets all the way to baseline, finds an open Gibson, and the lefty knocks it down.
That is a lean 270 pounds, boy. His upper body is carved out. And how about the touch for that guy?
When he loaded that shot up, I thought, no way. Because I haven't seen him come outside the lane the other night, and then certainly today. He looked good doing it.
12 points, 6 boards in the semifinal win over Delaware on Wednesday. Stauskas out range.
That's the way he runs back, right? Carrying himself like a guy who's played this game a long time.
George, they have a shooting drill at Michigan. 5 minutes, 3-point shots, 1 ball, 1 manager. Their seniors last year, Novak and Douglas, they got up to making 64. First time Stauskas did it, he made 74 out of 87 threes, including 26 in a row.
Wow. Pay a price to be that good, don't you? That's a lot of shot you put up.
What a great split of the double team, but Rodriguez couldn't finish underneath. Loose ball and a loose ball foul. Going to go against Michigan. Timeout. Well, John Beilein and Bruce Weber, they got a little bit of a history coaching against each other. Going to talk about that coming up next here from Madison Square Garden. John Beilein's Michigan Wolverines leading Bruce Weber's Kansas State Wildcats 13-5 here in the first half. But this is actually the 11th time that they have coached head-to-head. This was the last time, March 1st last year, Michigan knocking off Illinois. So Coach Weber knows all about Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. went for 46 combined in that Wolverines victory.
Yeah, he does. And, you know, one of the things you see Bruce right there with Stu Douglas from Michigan. Bruce has always been a guy, and we mentioned it a minute ago, that other coaches respect and really like. You know, he's a guy that if you're on the recruiting trail and sitting watching games in Orlando or Vegas or wherever you go in the summertime, that you sit with, you just have a really good time with. And, you know, he and John have a pretty good rivalry going, which continues tonight in the NIT championship.
Is it too understated to talk about the job that Bruce Weber's done stepping? I think Frank Martin left him some really good players at Kansas State, but it was Frank Martin's team. And Coach Weber had to come in, went right to Rodney Magruder, Angel Rodriguez. There was questions whether or not he would stay in Manhattan. So how nice of a job has he done?
Well, he's done a great job with that, but even more than that, Frank Martin really helped Bruce out. And so many times in college basketball, a coach that's leaving will kind of snake around and maybe try to steal a recruit or get a kid to transfer to him. Frank Martin, I think, showed great character and care for his kids at Kansas State by getting them to stay and making sure they understood Bruce Weber was a good guy and a good coach.
Rodriguez turning it over there, and a great battle with Trey Burke.
Well, you think about guys like Angel Rodriguez, who, because he comes to Manhattan strictly because of Frank Martin and his contacts in various AAU programs. And so you're right, it is a job for that coach to say to Angel, listen, I see your future here with me. We can work together. Good backdoor cut. Nice put on money by Burke. Pretty.
Matt Holdridge scored. So the Wolverines opening a 10-point lead. Kansas State just 2 of 11 from the field.
And as important as a 2 for 11, that's 9 missed shots, and they only have 1 offensive rebound.
Irving makes it 2 for 12. And there's an offensive board. Nice look down low. Nino Williams, spin move and a bucket.
John Beilein is playing a really funny lineup here. He's basically played everybody on the bench. Guys that haven't seen really any action.
Max Bielfeldt, number 44 in Mays, getting a look. junior, will pull up from 3.
Okay, Coach, what do you think of that shot?
Well, I think the whole offensive possession was awful. There was no movement. There was no screening. There was no cutting. Everybody, once Trey Burke gave up the ball, everybody kind of hung out. Again, it's kind of a funny thing. You get shots like that with a funky kind of lineup.
Block foul on Jordan Morgan, his second. A reminder, Tuesday on ESPN, it's the ACC Big Ten Challenge at 7:30 Eastern. NC State and these 4th-ranked Wolverines of Michigan. Then at 9:30 Eastern, number 9 North Carolina, top-ranked Indiana. ACC Big Ten Challenge Tuesday on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN.
Which one is on your docket?
North Carolina State, Michigan.
That'll be great.
Just tell you how big the North Carolina-Indiana game is. My daughter, who's 15, wants tickets. My daughter didn't even want to go to an Indiana game when I was coaching in Indiana. And now she's dying to go to a game.
Is she getting them?
Oh, yeah, we'll take it.
I'll tell you what's been impressive, and I was talking about this in the prior game about Indiana. One, everything's not on Cody Zeller's shoulders. Obviously, they're a deep roster. It's been interesting to watch. Yogi Ferrell is an extraordinary talent, but he's still a freshman. And the steady play of Jordan Holes says that guy, you know, how important is it for a young guy to maybe have somebody like a Holes in the lineup next to him, or just watching him practice every day?
Doris, at the Barclays on Tuesday, we sat in the front row underneath the basket, and I tweeted this. I say it's amazing when you sit on the court how much of a leader Jordan Holes is. I mean, he literally moves people, grabs them, puts them out. Gets every single time there's an opportunity to speak to a teammate, he does it. The other night was the most amazing leadership I may have ever seen by a kid.
Junior finishing there.
So sometimes if the lineup's funky and this group doesn't have, rhythm and reps together, somebody's got to go make a play, and that's what Hardaway does.
That's exactly right. Just go get a bucket. And then call it good coaching.
Yes. Good players make for good coaching.
Spradling missing on a 3. Nino Williams there. Loads up Rodriguez for a triple. Another near offensive rebound. Hardaway comes out with it. Hardaway right down the middle. True double team scores.
Much better. 3 possessions. Doris, you asked me about a bad shot. It was a 1 or 2 pass stand around jump shot. Last 2 possessions, Hardaway got to put his head down. They can't stop.
Yep. And he's rebounding it. The guy is over 6 per game. And if you need some assistance because of the bodies of Kansas State, Hardaway has done the job.
Spradling was free inside, chucks it up. Diaz underneath, drawing contact. Is the difference in Hardaway from sophomore to junior year the strength on those drives into the basket?
I think offensively it is, but what I've seen in these 2 games, you're going to see a foul here on the offensive rebound. But what I've seen in these 2 games, Hardaway is much more mature. Like, he would have moments last year. He did it against Michigan State when we did the game where he would sulk. Or, if Coach Beeline or one of the assistants got on him, he would react. Tell you what, he's a completely different kid. I saw him walk through the other night.
Well, there's the opportunity to get a basket off things you're creating by yourself. Through the bodies, the adjustment in midair. You know what? You have to have fun. You got to love playing the game. A year ago, I don't know that you watched Hardaway play and thought, geez, he's really enjoying this process.
I think there's some pressure. When your name is famous in basketball and you had a big freshman year and now you're coming back, sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself.
How good is this backcourt of Michigan as it's setting up right now among the greats in the country?
I think it's as good as any. I think when you look at what do you want a backcourt to do? Rebounding, penetration, each can score. These 3 guys that are out there right now can all get 20 plus.
Williams offensive board and a stick back for the Wildcats.
Just as we were talking, Doris, about Hardaway, he didn't block out, took the ball out and started yelling at his teammate for like the teammate didn't block out. It was totally on him. So maybe he hasn't matured as much as I said he had.
Little misdirection, Coach.
Yeah, smart.
Michigan leading the championship game by 8. Burke off the screen, feeding McGarry. And he traveled before the pass, turning it over to Kansas State. Timeout at Madison Square Garden. 7:47 go in the first half. Michigan enjoying the lead here in Midtown Manhattan. 21-13, Michigan in the lead. That Kansas State fan missing some early action, Doris, but take us inside the play.
Mom had her Black Friday shopping all day. She's exhausted. We've talked about Michigan and the importance of the board work. Kansas State has got 5 offensive rebounds. It's got to come from 5 different positions. You know, Bruce Weber talked a little bit about needing some inside scoring and some depth. Well, you look at this. 5 yellow jerseys in the paint. They've still given up 5 offensive rebounds. Grade them. Grade Michigan on the glass against Kansas State. First, 12 minutes or so.
I thought the first 10 minutes, I think the last couple minutes, an F. I mean, they've given up 4 offensive rebounds ever since we started bragging on them blocking out. So you can't relax against Kansas State because they are relentless. And as you've said, Doris, their bodies, they're big guys, they're strong kids at most every spot other than the backcourt, certainly 3 spots up front. So if you relax, all of a sudden 1 offensive rebound becomes 5.
He scares me as a grader. F. He said F.
This is the first look we've had at the 1-3-1 so far.
Yes.
Kansas State doing a nice job inside. Got a shot over it and got an offensive putback for a basket.
The 1-3-1 really saved the day for Michigan against Pittsburgh. And you see here, sometimes out of a 1-3-1, because there's a smaller guy down on the baseline, offensive rebounding becomes an issue. And Henriquez with the putback.
Well, on Trey Burke is his first. Jordan Henriquez, 6'11" from Port Chester, New York, not far to New York City.
This goes down. 9 of their 16 or 8 of their 15 points have come on second chance points. It's been their best offense.
Kansas State getting within 6 against a 4th-ranked team in the nation. Michigan got a test Wednesday against Pittsburgh. Backdoor attempt, and it goes out of bounds to Kansas State.
That was a great play by Nino Williams. Nino Williams wasn't guarding the back cutter. He was guarding opposite, recognized that McGarry was dribbling away from him. So number 11 went into the paint and got a hand and deflected it off the Michigan playoff. Trey Burke out of bounds. That's a great weak side help play.
And those are things only coaches notice. Honest to God, I did not see that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Coaches noticed too is shooting production. Kansas State did not have that even in their win over Delaware on Wednesday. They're going to have to get a little more production on this end of the ball against this caliber of competition.
Magruder has not shot the ball with any type of confidence. He missed layups. Wide open, not wide open, but little pull-ups.
Hardaway off the turnover, and he'll get to the line.
Tell you what, if ball handling was an emphasis for Tim Hardaway Jr. in the offseason, he's shown it several times on drives to the rim. This is through traffic and bodies, and you got to be confident in your handle if you're going to split guys. How about that in the open floor?
You know what I like about Hardaway and Robinson? They're 6'7", they're long arm, they're athletic. But they would be really good basketball players if they were 5'10".
Yes.
Because of their skill level. A lot of kids over 6'5" wouldn't be. But those 2 guys, they shoot it, they drive it, and you mentioned it, the ball handling, terrific.
When I visited with John Beilein before the game, I said, is this the best, we're talking about, is this the best lineup? He said, what I like best about this team, he said, I'm not going there. What I like best about this team is, he said, we're skilled basketball players. But more importantly, I like our minds. I like how we think the game. I like how we feel the game. There's just sort of an understanding and unselfishness amongst this group. Those are invaluable.
They are. Here's the one area that the skill is lacking, Doris. If you remember his teams from West Virginia, Pittsnagle was such a good shooter.
Yeah.
Tight cut, pop out, where they would back cut off that wide down screen. Jordan Morgan can't do that, and neither can any of their other bigs. McGarry can't do that. That's the only area that they lack relative to those teams.
Angel Rodriguez knocking down a 3-pointer to get Kansas State within 4. Second 3 of the afternoon for Kansas State. Stauskas coming off the screen in the middle of traffic, and Enriquez got a pull on it and saved it on the end line. Well, we got a whistle against Michigan as Trey Burke was right in the middle of that fray. That's the second foul on Burke.
I'm sorry, but Trey Burke is hostile at Stauskas for the bad shot. And that's a really good thing. Trey Burke was an exceptionally good freshman with Stuart Douglas and Novak. You can see the block here and then the foul. But after this block, Burke ends up fouling, but he was all over Stauskas because he did not make the extra pass.
We start the second game for Enriquez, who was a bit passive and in some foul trouble in the semifinal. This is Amari Lawrence getting a little run here, number 12 in purple. Coming up on 5.5 minutes to go in the first half, Kansas State staying close against Michigan. Need to shoot. Enriquez around and down for the big fella.
Tell you what, I love how engaged the bench is. When that last play where they had to hit the deck to make the defensive play, the bench was engaged. This is a team game, right?
Spike Albrecht in the game, finding Robinson. Hit hard by Enriquez, but not a bad foul. Showdown Saturday on ABC features a trifecta of impact games at noon Eastern tomorrow. Ohio State and Michigan. Then at 3:30 Eastern, Florida and Florida State. That's a top 10 battle. And at 8 Eastern, top-ranked Notre Dame, a win away from the national championship game facing USC right on ABC.
I'm a big guy with eyes. Like, that's the first thing I notice about people. Remember, I told you this. Matt Winnick, who's the freshman quarterback that's replacing Matt Barkley, is going to have a big-time game against Notre Dame. He's confident, he's big, he's strong, has a monster arm, and he has great eyes. Great, confident eyes. I was watching an interview with him today. He is going to play well tomorrow. He's going to play really well.
Are you calling a USC upset?
No. No. By the end of the game, maybe.
Okay.
I think about that.
We're holding to it.
I just love that kid. I watched him interviewed. I loved him.
I can't believe anybody would criticize a kid for being that confident. What is he trying to say? We're going to lose?
Right. Yeah, I don't know why they play me. I'm no good. Can't do that. All right, I'm going to give you a stat here. Enriquez, right now, Kansas State is 5-0. Enriquez plays enough half the game. Has not passed yet.
He hasn't passed it yet.
He has not passed the ball out of the post this entire season. Not one time. So even when he hit that jump shot, he wasn't passing that. He is an aim high and let her fly guy. Has not made one pass out of the post yet. He is the black hole.
He has struggled at the free throw line in his career. 56% free throw shooter. Jordan Enriquez, along with Amari Lawrence, Shane Southwell, who we've yet to see on the floor, all coming back to New York City for this tournament. There's both free throws.
Should have passed.
Aim high and let it fly. We've had some problems with the cable above that shot clock. We don't need him hitting those.
Lynn Robinson against Lawrence.
Boy, don't you like the activity of Kansas State's defense? So tough, physical, active hands.
Pass the lane to Horford. His shot won't go down. Near offensive board. Last touch by the Wildcats. It stays with Michigan. Well, these Kansas State Wildcats, we often get the trip back home, but Jordan Enriquez, he's got a lot of family in Queens also.
A lot of ticket pressure, and these guys really, I did not think they played well Wednesday night. They were lucky to survive that game, and I think, nerves had a little bit to do with that, according to some of their staff. Just a little bit uptight. Nothing like wanting to please the hometown crew.
Getting a chance to play at Madison Square Garden. Every kid growing up in this city, and even all across the land, love to play in this building.
I remember being so excited when I was a freshman. We came in for the NCAA holiday tournament.
Hardaway finding more and more ways to score.
The smartest offensive game I've seen him play in a couple years, because he missed a shot, took a bad one as we discussed, but he said, "The heck with that, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to the rim and you can't stop me."
Hardaway's got 11 of the Michigan 26.
Let's see if he passes. No. He shot that before he caught it, Doris. That wasn't even in his hands that he was turning into the shot. I like it.
Ball foul on Will Spradling, his first. And Kansas State headed to the huddle. Timeout, down 6, first half at the Garden. All right, Kevin, thanks a lot. At one point, Kansas State was down 10. Little defensive adjustment for K-State here in the first half, Dan.
Yeah, you're going to see two plays here. Both the same play with different results. Both are back cuts. Basketball, particularly on the defensive end, is about alertness and it's about recognition. Here you're going to see a back cut by Vogritz. Nobody on the weak side is there to help. They should be. The ball was picked up. Now, same kind of action. McGarry in a back cut. You see Rodriguez gets his hand up, but also number 11. Williams coming over to make a play. So, the rule of thumb is when you are 2 passes away opposite the ball, the help for Bruce Weber's team is right in the middle of the lane. So, I'm 2 passes away, get in the middle of the lane. One time they were, ball went out of bounds off Michigan. One time they weren't, layup.
Plus, it's a noticeable difference to me completely from the other night watching at home. Kansas State's activity level and intensity and commitment to the scout. It just feels like a completely different team. Because I did not think they looked very good at all.
They did.
You
know, it was a little bit like, well, we're playing the number 4 ranked team in the country today. We're just playing Delaware the other way. It almost cost them. Would have cost them if Higgins had gotten cramps. Good kid from Delaware.
Jamel Higgins missing most of that game. Delaware got knocked off in the 3rd place game today, but Kansas State coming to play. Split of the double. Martavius Irving. Shot tip goes down to Kansas State.
Relentless. They're relentless on the offensive glass, and I'll say it again, it's been their best offense. Second chance points.
TJ Johnson getting credited with that basket. Three minutes to play in the first half. Amari Lawrence called for that foul up high. That'll be his first.
Well, if you relax and don't put a body on somebody, Kansas State is going to get the ball back on the backboard, and you're going to see the sprint back, which is something Bruce Weber knows. He knows in scouting that John Beilein wants to push the ball against him. Everybody in the Big Ten will tell you, what'd you do against Illinois? Hey, look, you've got to push the ball because if they get locked in on you defensively, they're pretty strong, they're pretty physical, and that's Michigan's plan.
8 fouls against Kansas State, 1-1, and Hardaway hits the first. And knowing you're picking up a guy like Glenn Robinson, you got to get back quickly.
You do. You have to get back, whether it's Robinson, whether it's Hardaway. Spike Albrecht is in right now, but certainly Trey Burke, one of the fastest guards end to end you're going to find in college hoops.
There's something you also have to remember. It's not enough to get back in transition. This is something I talked to Bruce Weber about. He said, we were trying to get back in transition against Delaware. He goes, it's not enough to get back. You've got to identify the best shooters. You've got to get back to the rim and protect. It's not about simply sprinting back. It's sprinting back with a purpose.
Gibson on the block against McGarry. 13 to shoot for Spradling, doubled in the corner. Skip it across, a wide open jumper. Missing it is Irving.
Exactly what you were talking about earlier, Doris. Spike Albrecht went and double teamed on the block out. Double team Gibson came up with the rebound.
Robinson, great feed to McGarry, who went for a stop. Michigan will get another chance at it.
McGarry went up like a high school kid right now. Like the biggest kid in the high school game where he could just go to the rim. And that's what's going to improve about him as he goes along. He'll figure out that, wait a second, if I don't come strong, it's going to get sent back to him.
Three-pointer, Robinson short, just ticked the rim. Kansas State down 5, chance to chip a little further. Gibson in the post. Spradling on the baseline. That's Albrecht coming up.
There's a guard again. Once again, in there on the rebound. I got to tell you, McGarry is doing a great job on Gibson. Gibson can only turn to his right shoulder. Can't turn left shoulder to score. And McGarry has planted himself the last 2 possessions on that right shoulder. Gibson has nothing going the other way.
Great feed underneath and a better block by Irving.
Same help we were talking about. It's alertness and recognition, recognizing where the ball is and being alert enough and athletic enough to go make a play.
Robinson out of the corner. Ogre's got a hand on it. Contested for on the baseline. Still loose. Finally tied possession. The arrows go to Kansas State. College basketball continues Friday on ESPN2 at 10 Eastern. Creighton and Wisconsin in the Continental Tire Las Vegas Invitational. It's part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's on ESPN2 and live on Watch ESPN. ESPN, the home court of college hoops. Loved Creighton a year ago, and
yeah,
they can be tough also.
I feel bad for Bo Ryan. Bo Ryan, you know, Jordan Taylor graduates. Josh Gosser is going to be their point guard, and all of a sudden he tears a knee. He's out. Tim Frazier at Penn State, all Big Ten. He's out for the season. It's too bad. 2 really good players and good kids out in the Big Ten.
Albrecht's going to get hit with a foul up high, his first.
Albrecht's dad was Mr. Biddy Basketball.
His first NIT.
That means he was the greatest Biddy basketball player in the world.
6 feet and under?
No, Biddy basketball is like 8, 9,
age
10.
range.
Yeah,
Right.
age range. His dad, Chucko, was a friend of mine. His aunt, I can't remember her name, was so good looking I couldn't speak to her.
How old were you?
Oh, well, 12, 14, 18, 22, 36. No, we were kids. And Spike's dad was a really good basketball player. In fact, Spike and McGarry and Robinson all played with the SYF group out of Gary, Indiana. A really good AAU program coached by a terrific guy named Ray Brown.
Well, Trey Burke sitting on the bench without a point tonight, and Michigan's been able to maintain this lead. 40 seconds to go in the half.
With few exceptions, it's been an outstanding half from Hardaway, and that's your luxury. With John Beeline, because Burke is one of the best players in the nation. Haven't needed him because this guy's been ready.
Tough shot, big offensive rebound, McGarry puts it in.
That guy knows his talent.
Yeah, and energy. He's the key. I mean, talk to Michigan staff. They'll tell you moving forward, we think we have a Final Four team, but McGarry is huge making plays like that, Doris.
He's athletic. He's got a high motor. He's trying to involve the crowd on the bench over there. Pre-game, the guy who was doing most of the talking as they're trying to get prepped and ready was Mitch McGarry.
6 points in the first half for McGarry. Back at Madison Square Garden for the final 11.5 seconds of the first half. It's some purple-clad Wildcats fans dancing in the aisles here at the Garden. Mostly a maize and blue crowd. And the Michigan Wolverines with a 5-point lead. A lot of help from that freshman class that John Beeline has brought in. Spike Albrecht's been on the floor a lot. We've already sung the praises of Mitch McGarry and, of course, Glenn Robinson III.
You know, Michigan's up 5. But to take this game out, Glenn Robinson and obviously Trey Burke going to have to get something done offensively in the second half.
Spraggling missing a 3. Another rebound. McGarry looking to pass. Will throw one up from about 70 feet wide to the right. But Tim Hardaway Jr., 12 points on 5 of 8 shooting. Part of the reason Michigan has the lead here at halftime over Kansas State. So we're at the half at the Garden, 29-24. The 4th-ranked Wolverines the lead. Let's head back to the studio. Kevin Connors and Seth Greenberg have the UPS halftime report.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Welcome to my city, city, city. It looks so pretty, pretty, pretty. Welcome to my city, city, city. It looks so pretty, pretty, pretty.
Welcome back to the NIT season tip-off, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Michigan, a 5-point lead over Kansas State. Doris Burke, Dan Dockich, I'm Mark Kestisher. The Reese's perfect plays, Doris, from our first half.
Well, I think the first thing you notice about Kansas State that's different is how engaged they are defensively. And obviously you're looking opposite Trey Burke, one of the outstanding players in the country. And Hardaway carried him because Trey Burke did not get done what he typically gets done. I thought he played a mature half, contributed on the backboards.
Burke didn't get anything done. I'll show you why. Watch. They go over the ball, over the handoff here. Now they go back over the handoff. 3 guys right there are taking away Trey Burke. Now here 3 guys come again to Trey Burke. That was the first possession of the game. Really well schooled, I thought, in Kansas State against Burke.
And in the offensive glass, we talked about this. You know, listen, Bruce Weber knew exactly how he was going to compete. He said our inside depth has got to score. You had to get something from Gibson. We had to compete on the backboards. They had to be more physical. Well, they're competing. They look totally different. 12 second chance points. So 12 of their 24 off the offensive glass.
Doris, in the first 10 minutes of the half, they had 1 offensive rebound. Kansas State did. In the last 10 minutes of the half, they had 7. You just can't relax ever on Kansas State on the glass.
A loose ball foul away from the play. They're going to get Nino Williams with his first as we check out the first half stat sheet.
Trey Burke, no shots, 0, no shots, and Glenn Robinson 1 for 5. So between 2 guys that are potentially 20, 25-point scores in a game like this, they have 1 basket. And the reason is, in Burke's case, Rodriguez doing a terrific job of going over everything and relying on his help.
Bridge finding Glenn Robinson III, and back to Burke with the shot clock at 15. Rodriguez attached to his right hip. Floater hits the side of the backboard.
Great defense.
We were just saying, you never go under a score, never go under a ball screen or a handoff. Rodriguez went over, and sometimes you get a hit. Watch Rodriguez here. He's going to go over right there, that screen. All right, now, he gets beat a little bit, but Henriquez gets to the ball side of the rim, and when you get to the ball side of the rim, you can make a play.
And because he's working so hard, Rodriguez, he's changing the angle at which Burke can get to the rim, and that allows the help. So, listen, that's really hard work by Rodriguez. Did he get beat? Yes, but he worked hard enough to put his team in position. That is tremendous.
Rodriguez got bumped by Burke, no call. Vogrich, extra pass, first shot of the game for Trey Burke, and it goes down.
Vogrich made a really good pass there. Robinson threw it ahead. Many times a guy will go in and make a bad play, but Vogrich, it was like a hot potato, just got it out of his hands, found a cutting Burke.
You know, Jordan Morgan picked up his third foul about 2 plays ago, waiting on McGarry to come in, but Morgan in there against Henriquez right now underneath. Spradley, wide open jumper, short by Nino Williams.
He didn't look like he believed it could go in.
He wasn't ready when he got it.
Great crossover by Hardaway, who knocks it down.
How many times you say that in an NBA game over the years? Great crossover by Hardaway.
Father like son, and Spradley missing on the other end. Here's a 3-on-1 for Michigan. Burke with the finish. Timeout, Bruce Weber. Largest lead of the afternoon into evening for Michigan.
Take a couple bad shots. Michigan wants to get out and go. We said it right from the get-go. All of a sudden, Michigan's going to make you pay. Michigan is a skilled team, Doris. They know how to pass the ball. They know how to get the ball in around the rim.
Yeah, boy, this is an NBA move if ever there was one. Just a very good individual play. And how about when you get defenders not knowing which way to turn, boom, 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 you got Kansas State don't know which way to go.
Rodney Magruder of Kansas State, leading scorer last year, 0 for 4 tonight. He's under 38% shooting, 2 for 17 from 3, really struggling to start this year.
Yeah, we've been talking about Burke not scoring or not even taking a shot in the first half. Robinson 1 for 5, but this is the guy right there. Magruder, if Kansas State's going to stay around in this game at some point this weekend, he's got to get going here. He's short-armed some shots and looks very uncomfortable.
Rodriguez, nice pass, Delaney, rejected by Hardaway. Hardaway leads the break, sends it out in the corner for 3, and a loose ball foul.
Foul on the rebound, walking
Michigan.
Twice tonight, I have been just so impressed by Hardaway's change, the burst that he shows in a particular spot on the floor. Very good block. He's going to get by because there's a burst, like a different speed, and Kansas State can't keep up.
You saw in half-court offense after he missed a shot. He went hard, and he was fast going down the floor. I mean, really fast. Like you said, you've done NBA games. That's an NBA-looking guy right there.
McGarry picked up his second personal. Kansas State started the first half 0 for 7, and they've opened the second half missing their first 4. Looked inside to Gibson, batted away, and Michigan comes away with a steal and a block foul to boot against K-State.
Well, once again, McGarry was on the right shoulder of the left-handed Gibson. And Gibson went to his left shoulder and was uncomfortable, dropped the ball, and it was stripped. You know, it's funny. One of the most frustrating things in coaching is when you know a guy can only do a certain thing, and you tell the players, look, he's going to his right shoulder. If he goes to his left shoulder and scores, it's on me. When they don't do it, it drives you nuts. But when they do it, you know, you feel pretty good about yourself as a coach. Like, all right, this guy I can trust now because he'll listen to what we have to say.
But let's go back to Magruder for a second, because the guy clearly, you know, he averaged just under 16 points a game. What do you do? You're the coach. You need him to score it. You know, obviously it's been a little bit of a change in terms of style. What do you do?
Well, I was talking to Bruce about it, Bruce Weber, and he said they have to be careful. This is a senior. There's a different style. Running off screens is not something he's real comfortable doing. But Bruce has to be careful, according to Bruce, that he doesn't give him too much, lose confidence, and change the way he plays. Like right there.
Looks like a shell of himself.
Yeah, it's a right way to put it. It's an unconfident guy making a move just because, well, I'm going to make the move, but he doesn't do it with real conviction, or he doesn't do it with real recognition.
Magruder, as he said, at least the word was, maybe playing a little tentatively, a little tight.
It's just a different style. It's just different movements with something he's never had to do before. Always kind of had the ball and drove it off one pass.
Robinson into the double team. Out to Burke, who drives the lane. Dish underneath. Robinson goes up. Glenn Robinson the third. And everything just kind of in slow motion while he's up in the air.
I can't get over his body. 2 years ago, I was watching the state AAU tournament. He was a skinny 6'4" kid. Hadn't seen him since. Came out for shoot around. I was stunned. He looks just like his dad. Big, strong, long arm, and tough.
How about the athleticism to make that play on the baseline and then 2 good finds? And I think this is something that John has talked about. Great chemistry. Robinson is a guy who can get points off the glass, right? Doesn't need to dominate the ball. This team fits. The pieces fit.
I agree. I mean, they do. And they're no joke. When we came out here, I was at the Indiana game. A lot of writers, people were saying, well, let's see, Michigan's overrated at 4. I don't think so.
Wow, overrated?
Yeah, I don't. I'm like, all right, we'll see. But in watching them a couple games, I think they're right where they need to be.
Joe Robinson bearing a 3 off an offensive rebound. It's McGarry out of the Michigan lineup and picked up his 3rd foul. Horford took his place. He's holding the ball right now. Hardaway finds some space. Silky smooth dropping that jumper.
That's on Gibson, though. Gibson was worried about Horford. Horford can't score. Hardaway can. He's the guy going, and instead of jumping out and really helping his teammate, Gibson backed off to worry about a guy that basically doesn't have a bucket all year.
Horford defending Gibson.
Pretty good job, though, by Horford. Took away the right shoulder, made him go left shoulder.
Catch and shoot 3 won't go down for Spradley. You can feel this is danger time for Kansas State. Horford, nice block from behind. That one goes in on the putback.
Nice to get him minutes, right? Get him down, give him some confidence. 2 good plays in a row.
Rodriguez on the reload. Underneath, Robinson closed him down. And now Horford rips it away. Hardaway. Timeout, Kansas State. Wow, just like that, 16-point game. 14-3 run to open this half for Tim Hardaway and the 4th-ranked Michigan Wolverines.
Doris, you have to know who's rolling here. Hardaway's rolling. Watch 42 Gibson. He's backing off. You don't back off the guy that's rolling. You go get the guy that's rolling. Wouldn't kill you to make him pass it either, would it? I mean, jump him. Somebody else going to beat you, they beat you.
Hardaway Jr. with 18 points on 8 of 11 shooting. Reminder, college basketball continues tonight on ESPN2 at 10 Eastern. Creighton ranked 14th in the nation against Wisconsin. The Continental Tire Las Vegas Invitational, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's on ESPN2 and live on Watch ESPN.
Well, out of the timeout, one thing Bruce Weber has always done, Gene Cady always did this, is assign somebody to no help, meaning you don't leave Hardaway, period. Whoever picks him up in transition, whoever's assigned to him in half court, there is no help side defense when a guy is rolling. You just stick with him. And it's hard right now for Michigan because Stauskas can shoot the ball. Burke's obvious. But you have to stop the guy that's going. I promise you that's what Bruce is talking about. Whoever's guarding Hardaway, no help side responsibility.
A little 1-3-1 in the first half. It was a game-changing move from John Beilein in the Pittsburgh game.
Now, this to me is what teams do. How fast did it happen with Michigan? Great teams can spurt you in a very short period of time, and that's what they did.
Rodriguez on the up fake. Lobs underneath. Diaz puts it in.
Really good play by Rodriguez, splitting the zone and splitting with his head up. A lot of times the guy will split his zone, get in traffic, stumble, fall down, make a bad play. Rodriguez kept his head up, found the open man.
For the most part, Kansas State has done well against that 1-3-1. I think 2 for 2. Near tip, Rodriguez didn't see it. And up his arm back to Trey Burke. At the high screen. Burke against Diaz. Tough matchup. Tip Robinson. This is Shane Southwell getting some minutes for Kansas State. Diaz again. Fouled underneath. He'll get 2 free throws. Hardaway with his first person. Holiday windows of Midtown Manhattan as the Christmas season, the holiday season underway in New York City. All right, Kevin, thanks a lot. 43-29, Michigan with the lead over Kansas State here in our second half. And let's take a look now at the BMW ultimate drive of the game.
Glenn Robinson gets by on the first drive. Any drive that gets by is going to compromise your help defense. They get multiple drives. And how about the passing skills and selfishness that these guys put a stuff in Michigan?
Glenn Robinson, the third. 6 points, 8 rebounds, couple assists, a block and a steal. Why not? Filling it up here tonight.
And that's what he's capable of. Actually, he's capable of more. You know, he's just a freshman playing in basically his first couple weeks of competition, but he is an ultra-talented kid. You know, he was a kid in Indiana. John Beilein does something different. John Beilein will not offer a scholarship until June 15th after your junior year. Well, Indiana and Purdue had given up all of their scholarships in his class. So there were none available for him. Otherwise, I don't know whether they're going there. I have no idea. Maybe, but John had a scholarship. The timing worked out perfectly, and they got himself a pro.
What's the rationale behind that?
Well, the NABC coaches want college coaches to not offer scholarships. You see what, 2, 4, 6 semesters of high school academic work. And John and Brad Stevens are two coaches that adhere to it. Others don't. Others will offer you a scholarship in 3rd grade. I mean, they don't care. But John just does it. They want to see work. He gets them admitted into Michigan before he offers them a scholarship, sees their transcripts. And it's worked out well. John's always done it that way.
John Beilein there was not happy with the call, and well, now a traveling violation. We'll turn it back over to Michigan.
Tandem to offense, tandem. What you got, coach?
I think John Beilein's handling exceedingly high expectations. He's gone a long way with other teams, including West Virginia. They've really set the bar high this year.
Yeah, they have, for a variety of reasons. Talent being first and foremost, but his ability as a coach as well. I don't think John worries about it. I know, you know, talking to their staff, they don't worry about it. And you can't worry about it. You know, if you worry about it, then you're not worried about getting better every day. And John has always been a teacher. He's always been a guy who wants his team as individuals and collectively to just worry about getting better. So I don't think they care about expectations. 35
years on the sideline. Yeah. He's been consistently excellent regardless of talent level. And what do you notice about the way they play? Because he has different types of athletes and basketball players at his disposal. He's adjusted to them, right? More ball screens, play a little bit faster, let him out in transition. I'm excited to watch him coach with this kind of talent. You think about the guys, Collins at the point guard, Pittsnagel, and his son, as you mentioned, really smart, but would you say they were a dynamic team that was worthy of a Final Four? That guy can coach his backside.
And he's never been an assistant coach. He needs to know the misery of being an assistant coach.
That guy, Tim Hardaway, with 20 points now for Michigan and another rebound.
Another quick shot by Kansas State. You quick shoot against this team, this is going to happen.
Rolls out, and Robinson is there for the football.
You talk about defense all you want, and you have to play defense. But in modern-day college basketball, you've got to be able to score. And we've seen it with just a simple spurt here. What was it, 14-3 games being taken out very quickly.
In the corner, Southwell lines up a 3.
Now, nobody's going to the offensive glass. Only one guy went, and that was Diaz. Now, they have a small lineup, but not near the aggressiveness that they had earlier at Kansas State.
We'll see Magruder and Enriquez check back in at the next whistle. Horford underneath. Nice spin move. And Kansas State calls for time as the deficit grows to 19 points. We got 3 guys with NBA fathers here on this Michigan team. Start with Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is playing absolutely great. And now Glenn Robinson, whose daddy Glenn was the best Big Ten player that I ever saw in my 17 years in the Big Ten. And in here, Al Horford's son with a little left shoulder jump hook. Pretty good pedigree, pretty good player.
Yep. Tito's son, Al's little brother. That's all right.
Tito, I'm sorry.
Yep. And there they are. Look at that. 11 seasons in the NBA for the National Player of the Year at Purdue, Glenn Robinson II.
Do you remember when Florida had the history of guys with fathers, famous fathers, whether it's Joe Noah. I remember asking Billy Donovan about, what does that do for those guys? He said, one, they have an understanding from the first moment they come in, the kind of commitment it takes to excel at this level. They understand the travel. There's just so many subtle things that you're exposed to that help you compete. But I have to tell you, Mr. Dockett, it's been a pleasure sitting next to you, except when you were talking about Tim Hardaway, because I was a Knicks fan. So his crossover and step-back jumpers were not a lot of fun for me.
Glenn Robinson had the greatest, or Herb Cole, who owned the Milwaukee Bucks, had the greatest line relative to Glenn Robinson. When Glenn Robinson came out of Purdue, he was drafted by Milwaukee, and he demanded a $100 million contract. He will not pass the ball. And he demanded a $100 million contract. Herb Cole, the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, said, look, you take the franchise, I'll take the $100 million. I thought that was great.
The rookie salary cap wasn't far behind.
They're right.
Here comes Burke lobbing for the rim. Well, this place was ready to explode.
Well, how funny is this? They have actually worked on that play. John Beilein is not known for backdoor lobs, but they need a little bit more work, Coach Dockett, so they're still in control.
I keep throwing it to him. I think it'll work out fine throwing him up to Glenn Robinson III.
Michigan enjoying the 19-point lead. John Beilein's got some good talent. When they look different practices, some things they work on in practice.
Well, you think about his most successful teams at West Virginia. A lot of three-point shot opportunities, some backdoor cuts, but not backdoor lob passes. And he's actually talked a little bit about, because it's become such a part of his arsenal, you have to do it college basketball, they'll actually work on it.
Well, you said it. I mean, John Beilein, 35 years, he's adjusted to players, and that's what made him so successful. And look, you said it earlier as well. It's a fun game.
It is fun.
You're supposed to have fun, and kids have no more, how about being a freshman and dunking in the garden?
Yes.
It's pretty fun.
646 coaching victories for John Beilein. Canisius, Richmond, West Virginia, now Michigan. Here in his 6th year in Ann Arbor. Here's Burke on the pull.
Fast with the left hand. He's able to do those things quickly. He's stopping on a dime and lifting up. This will not be passed.
At least he made that one.
He made that one. But Burke can stop on a dime because he plays so low. The only time he's upright is right now, when he's kind of hanging out, bringing it down the court. Now he'll get low and get serious.
So Kune, number 5 in the maize and blue. Big Spradley. Spradley goes down for the 6'2" senior from Ann Arbor.
Why not? You get your chance. You're in the garden. You're up 20. Shoot the ball.
Walkout had been recovering from foot surgery. So Kune scored. The lead is 21 for the Wolverines. Magruder trying to get on track here.
Little staple of the Bruce Weber offense, a little wide down screen. This is where Magruder has struggled. He's not used to shooting off screens. And when you shoot off screens, your inside foot has to be the first foot you step with. You're swinging it with your outside foot. If you haven't done it a whole lot in your career, it's a tough thing to master.
Burke there to follow his miss. Magruder on the pitch out. Southwell for 3. Enriquez offensive board, puts it in and gets fouled.
He just dominated Horford right there. Horford's a guy that's going to battle for playing time. And one of the ways that coach will trust you is if you block out. Watch the bottom of your screen. You can hardly see it, but you see the separation between Enriquez and Horford. He just got knocked out of the way. Wasn't strong enough to keep Enriquez off the board.
How much of what we're seeing with Michigan, because now you're watching two big guys come in together, McGarry and Morgan. And I know they've talked a little bit, will that lineup be on? How much of what we're seeing in terms of mixing and matching the lineups is you have a cushion, you need these lineups, or perhaps these players down the road in these combinations? How much of that are we seeing?
I think in this game, John Beilein came in there in this game with a purpose. Kune came in and played in the first half. Buford came in and played in the first half. They hadn't played a whole lot. Spike Holbrook played a lot in the first half, although Burke got 2 fouls. I think John Beilein, to your point, Doris, came in with a real with a purpose to make sure he got these kids experience in this tournament.
Hardaway, one of the rare misses as he went up for the dunk. foul called underneath. I believe that's on Morgan. That'll be his fourth. That is number 4 on Jordan Morgan.
How about this drive with power? Oh, I wish he had finished that.
And we're not rooting for anybody.
No.
We just like to see a good play.
Come on. I'm rooting for Enriquez to make every shot so you get off his back.
I'm rooting for him to pass.
Spraddling against Bielfeldt, the freshman. There's Magruder inside. Quick move. Stauskas rebounds. Tim Hardaway Jr. 20.7 rebounds so far in this championship game. As we come up on 8 minutes to go. Bielfeldt nearly had it ripped away by Southwell. He does steal it. Down court, 3-on-2. Counted for Magruder. He'll go to the line.
I'll tell you what you won't see on that play. That was made possible by Rodriguez, who continues to deny and deny and deny Trey Burke, trying to keep them off balance. And you get a steal on another play or other action, and this allows you to go the other direction. But what you didn't see in that, coach, is Rodriguez still down.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Kevin Connors, I'm actually going to take it back because it is absolutely so much fun to see how relaxed Seth Greenberg is now that he's not coaching. He's running the right side of the equation.
Get a lot of years back on your life when he gets to this side of it.
He looks like a totally new person back there.
Of course, I had dinner at his house last night. His lovely wife, Karen, and his daughters, Ella, Jackie, and Paige. And they were saying, and various mother-in-laws and grandmothers, and they were all saying, like, man, this is the first year basketball didn't ruin Thanksgiving by either losing a game or being out somewhere. And what a great, great time. And Seth, I know, is in the studio, and I can't thank him enough for having us out to his house.
His inside has been tremendous. Welcome to the family, and welcome to sanity, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt.
Long 3 miss, an offensive board. Hardaway's putback won't go, and here come the Wildcats. Still 7.5 minutes to go. In transition, look different Magruder now.
This is his game, getting down the floor, much more comfortable. Swing the ball, drive it, run the floor, finish, that type of thing, as opposed to working half-court offense.
So you see 7 straight points now for Kansas State. They trailed by 21 points here in the second half. Stauskas for 3, and it goes down.
That's a great looking play. I mean, we said it earlier in their shooting drill, 5 minutes, 1 shoot, or 1 rebounder, 1 shooter. Record was 63 makes in 5 minutes. He made 74 out of 87, including 26 in a row.
Adrian Diaz hitting that outside jumper for Kansas State.
Montel Jordan saying, this is how we do it, Doris.
There we go. You're shocking me. You knew a Tina Marie song. I almost fell off the chair.
Down, I thought it was the Gap Band.
You were using Shazam.
Hardaway for a triple.
That's confidence right there, Doris. As soon as he actually shot the ball before he got it. He was ready to go. As soon as Burke hit him with the pass, he was up and the ball was in.
23 for Tim Hardaway Jr. Leading Michigan.
Overrated. I don't see it.
I don't either. That's what, just in talking to guys at the Barclays Tuesday for the Indiana game, it's, hey, what do you think of Michigan? I think they're overrated. I didn't think they were overrated. I think they're right where they need to be. They got big-time weapons, a terrific coach. Anything you want in the team, they have.
Burke, a floater off the glass goes down. Trey Burke held scoreless in the first half. 10 points so far in the second half. Here's Rodriguez getting all the way down inside for a basket.
2-point basket, Angel Rodriguez.
Michigan will slow it up now. 5:20 to go in this one. And open the year 5-0. Turnover.
anxious to see this replay because I think that's a makeup call. Bruce Weber losing his mind on no call of Magruder on the other end. I'm going to stay out of it because I already think it's a makeup. You?
I think it's a good call, and here's why. I mean, normally you give the benefit of the doubt to the guy slipping by, but I thought he was in place. Yeah, that was a good call. I can appreciate a man who admits it to a woman.
Burke with his third personal foul.
You have surprised me on the telecast, Mr. Dockett.
I just look like a good position. Got to give him the ball. Too late.
A little late. Horford got a hand in. Magruder gets it back and finds Johnson for the bucket.
Well, eventually he got it, but boy, he had great position. The ball wasn't delivered. If you deliver a post pass late, it's going to be tipped out. Kansas State lucky there.
Hardaway holding just inside of midcourt with 4:20 to go.
This is their stall. A little chin action. Cutters through it with some type of ball screen up high, late clock.
Albrecht will launch for three, and the freshman knocks it down.
Spike Albrecht. He looks very confident. And, you know, they recruited him because they thought Trey Burke was going to the NBA. They wanted a little protection. Spike Albrecht, who originally, I believe, committed to Brown, who went to prep school, looks the part here. Looks very comfortable in a Michigan uniform.
Huge. I mean, if you need a guy to give you 8-10 minutes if there's a foul trouble, Burke picks up a couple quick ones.
Johnson hit by Horford. We've got a player down on the court as well.
This is just like Daddy right here. His daddy, Chucko, one of the great youth basketball players in the history of youth basketball in Gary, Indiana.
And it looks like it's Tim Hardaway Jr. Don't know if he might have got stepped on in the crush. Right now, a bit of a hush at Madison Square Garden as Tim Hardaway Jr. slow to get off the floor. He's still in some considerable pain as they roll him over to his backside. There were some big bodies underneath, and he might have taken the brunt. Let's take a look.
Oh, see it.
Took a knee from DJ Johnson. Good news up. He's in prone position right now, being checked out by the Michigan staff. We'll take a timeout here in New York. Michigan 66-47 lead. Back to New York. Tim Hardaway Jr. taking a knee to the back of the head, and just a short time ago was helped off the court. Take a look here. He was wobbly.
Yeah. This is the site of Ali Frazier one of the great fights of all time, and he looks like a kind of a punch-drunk fighter coming off here. Well, he got hit hard.
You normally, I mean, obviously looks, we're not speculating here, but if it is a concussion, he will have to pass the test with a very big opponent on the docket for early next week.
North Carolina State ACC Big Ten Challenge Tuesday. And you said it, Doris, when he was walking off. He doesn't have his leg. He did not have his legs under him. Now maybe he does, but he certainly didn't. That's a scary situation.
Tim Hardaway Jr. 23 points, 7 rebounds for John Beilein's club. And if you missed it, number 50. There you go, knee to the head. That's in slow motion. It looked bad and slow. Johnson at the free throw line for Kansas State. Well, that's the thing. You could talk about on paper and you could see teams play well, but certainly it's the test of injuries over the course of the season as well that you can't factor in until they happen, but you hope they don't.
Coach, you said something earlier that I'm intrigued by, and one of it is their interior game. Nice little strip by Johnson, and no doubt about that finish. So they don't have a low post guy that they can throw it into. 2 and get back to the basket. Easy shots. Their guards can create their easy opportunities. What kinds of teams can you see giving this team trouble?
Well, I can see a team like North Carolina State. I can see that game going either way. North Carolina State, I had them in Puerto Rico, and they fell apart. But they're so athletic, they can match athlete for athlete, and with a real good point guard. Now, the one thing that they do well, I believe, Michigan, is defend the ball. I think Jordan Morgan's a terrific post defender. I think McGarry, as you mentioned, he has a high motor, willing to go battle, not afraid, that kind of thing. But a team that shoots it from outside and guards him a little bit, you know, when a team goes on a run, you have to be able to throw the ball inside. It'll be interesting if they can do that over the course of the season. Remember this, Jordan Morgan has not shot a free throw all year, and he's their post guy.
Yeah.
Morgan and McGarry both with 4 fouls in this game. Or for getting a little extra time on the floor for Michigan.
Every basket can't be worked, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to be able to score it easy.
Robinson from the corner missed. Well, Kansas State has a long way to go, but maybe the good side is the way Magruder's finishing this game.
There's any doubt about it. This is the best stretch that he has had, 9 points throughout a little 5-minute period here.
Timeout on the floor, and tune in on Tuesday. ESPN has the ACC Big Ten Challenge. We just talked about Michigan and NC State getting it all started at 7:30 Eastern. Indiana and North Carolina at 9:30 Eastern. ACC Big Ten Challenge Tuesday on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN.
Can a North Carolina team with so many guys and so many new roles go on the road? It'd probably be a growth game for Roy Williams' team. I think the best is, you know, down in February, early March for North Carolina. Can they win there? Tough joint.
Indiana has become a crazy place to play. And Doris, here's the one thing about it, though. Embarrassed against Butler, down 29.
Yeah.
They did come back. Maybe that's the growth game that helps them in the Indiana game. But I can't see. I think, truthfully, I can't see anybody coming into Assembly Hall this year and beating Indiana, unless, as we talked about, there's injuries to a Cody Zeller, maybe a Jordan Hall. But I think that place has become so difficult to play.
My favorite game of the year is, you see, the ACC won the first 10 challenges. One of my favorite games of last year, and obviously it's compelling basketball as you see the top 10, when Kentucky plays at Indiana. I called Dan Schulman after that game. I said, you could feel that crowd through your television screen. You want to talk about a home court advantage. Indiana has you could literally, and that's hard to do in TV, to feel that crowd coming through that screen, and they did.
It's idiotic. They don't play anymore. I mean, it's a bigger game than Calipari. I mean, Calipari's big, but it's a bigger game. It is, and John doesn't want to play it on a home basis. Tom Crean in Indiana have made concessions. Now, people are going to say, well, you're an Indiana guy, you're defending Indiana. No, I'm not. But I don't like either side in this, because that's a game, in my opinion, that's good for college basketball, great for the region, and absolutely has to be played. And if the coaches can't get together, then the heck with them, get somebody else in there, arbitrate it, and get them to play.
Rodriguez with the block shot out of bounds, stays at Michigan State. And we discussed that earlier too. A lot of times these rivalry games going by wayside, you're not really looking at the rivalries. There's other things, outside interests, that are really taking away some of the games out.
Let me ask
Pittsburgh, West Virginia.
Let me ask both of you a question. Okay, all this conference movement, don't care about rivalries, don't care about traditions. All right, fine. It's all about money. So really, you ought to rename the Big Ten, the $24 million conference, because everybody's making $24 million. But 10 years from now, when there are no longer our rivalry, right now there's no longer rivalries. When the effect comes 10 years from now, the effect of no rivalries, will there be as much interest in college sports?
That was my point. Mark and I talked about this on game one. I said, what we don't know is the long-term implication of all this movement. We don't know, because we'll fandom and viewership. And our company is all about ratings and viewership, getting that one viewer to watch for longer. Well, if there are no compelling storylines and no natural rivalries, are you taking a toll on exactly that? And so, again, you won't know, as you said. The long view of this is yet to be seen.
I'm glad you followed it up, because you said that much more eloquently than I did. I sounded like a guy from Maryville, Indiana, and you sounded like this kid's educated.
Robinson going hard to the basket. Reminder, ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. at watchespn.com and with the Watch ESPN app.
You no longer have to travel with your DVDs.
No.
You can get it on. You can get it on Watch ESPN.
I was watching these guys, John Saunders and Dan Dockich. My DVR ran out, so I had to run to my Watch ESPN to catch the final 5 minutes of the game.
Might be the greatest invention since the fork.
Since the fork? You're jumping past sliced bread?
He's got Little Italy on his mind. That's where he's headed in about 10 minutes.
I'm headed to try to find the Ravenite Social Club, John Gotti's old place, and have dinner there somewhere on the street.
For Michigan, checking back in is number 52, Jordan Morgan.
A lot of great places to eat in this city.
Oh, is this city the best? And this time of year is just absolutely wonderful.
I know it's happening all over the country, but I'm watching people line up and sleep as we're it's a trade. You can get online for Black Friday. It's like 11:30 at night.
What is the point? Is it because there's limited amounts of stuff that people really want, or are the deals better at midnight?
They're asking for all good.
That's his
I don't
first
understand Black Friday.
I don't either. I refuse to shop on it.
There were people out shopping today, though, as we were walking around Times Square from where we were staying. Man, was it crowded downtown. It was great.
Make money, don't spend money.
Stauskas fouled in the backcourt by Southwell.
Foul called against the Wildcats, number 1.
We get a look at Bruce Weber, and
Second and the team's 7.
you know, pending a miraculous comeback here, you know, he has his players who he inherited a team from Frank Martin. It appears he's got guys like Angel Rodriguez to buy into a system. How good can this team be in the Big 12?
I think it can be good if first Magruder has to become a wooden watch guy. Second, one of their bigs, Gibson pretty good against Delaware, Henriquez okay during a stretcher, Diaz certainly has potential. One or two of those guys has to become a player. And by player, I mean a guy you just plug in and know what you're going to get, and what you're going to get is really a positive. Right now they don't know. They're trying to shuffle and figure it out. And, you know, that's what practice in a season is for.
30 seconds to go. Irving finds a seam. Morgan rips down the rebound. Shot clock off here as John Beilein took Canisius to the semifinals, 94-95 NIT postseason. He won the NIT with West Virginia back in 2007, and now he's just a few seconds away from leading Michigan to an NIT preseason tip-off championship in New York, and the chant of "Beat Ohio" goes up. And of course, Michigan, Ohio State on ABC tomorrow at high noon Eastern. 71-57, Michigan the win over Kansas State. John Beilein with win number 647 on the season. So Michigan goes to 5-0 to start its season. That'll do it from here at Madison Square Garden. For Dan Dockich, Doris Burke, I'm Mark Kestisher, our entire crew as well. Coming up next, it's ESPN College Football Primetime, South Florida and Cincinnati. Michigan with the win in New York. Let's head back to the studio. Kevin Connors, Seth Greenberg.
Half-court bucket against Pittsburgh the other night. This guy's explosive, one of the better players in the entire nation. And if the depth and rebounding and interior scoring is going to help Kansas State compete in this game, it's got to come from all 6'7", 270 pounds of Thomas Gibson.
And he'll come off the bench as we check out our starting lineups for Kansas State. Angel Rodriguez joining Rodney Magruder in that backcourt, and Will Spradling, a sophomore who really is thriving in Bruce Weber's system his first year in Manhattan, Kansas. And for the 4th-ranked Michigan Wolverines, you know these last names, sons of pretty impressive players. Glenn Robinson III, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Trey Burke coming back for his sophomore season. John Beilein has quite a crew in Ann Arbor and off to a 4-0 start. And he's got a lot of folks very interested in Michigan basketball. They seem to be back on top of the heap once again after a while.
It's no real surprise. I mean, the job that John Beilein did at West Virginia, getting them to the Elite Eight in his 3rd year, in my opinion, Doris, is the best coaching job I've seen in NCAA basketball in the time that I've been in it, and I've been in it since 1983. He's just a phenomenal coach.
Well, you've been around him in all of his years at Michigan, and I asked him this before the game. He wouldn't commit because he was blown up on his phone by his former West Virginia players. Is this the best roster in 35 years of coaching for John Beilein?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, his team, now, is he going to play as well as his West Virginia teams of Pittsnagel and his son Patrick and Air and those guys? I don't know, but it's certainly in terms of talent, in my opinion, no question about it.
We are underway at the Garden. John Cal, Michael Stevens, Roger Ayers are officials. And Michigan will have the crowd as the lower bowl in Madison Square Garden has filled. An amazing blue here, trying to see Michigan start its season 5-0. This is Burke surveying the defense and throws it away, trying to find Bogrich. Rodriguez gets a shot off. And Morgan wrestles it away from Enriquez.
I think Rodriguez is important. I think his decision-making, his shot selection, and how well he gets Kansas State into their offense and how efficiently they can run it is important.
I don't think there's any doubt. He's a guy that over-penetrates too much once in a while. He'll get too deep, as you saw right there, and have to do something throwing the ball up and throwing it away.
Now, that doesn't look like a turnover last time, but that might as well be a turnover. Bad shot's the same thing.
The left arm. In the NBA, that's a charge. The NBA does a great job of getting in position and seeing the extension of the arm.
Okay. So the other night, I'm in my living room listening to you call a game, and you said, I'm going to say one thing about the official, and then I'm done. And then 5 seconds later, you said something else, and John Saunders said to you, I thought you were done.
Foul ball against Kansas State's number 22, Rodney McGruder.
I'm a big fan of officials, except when they make a bad call.
Listen, I've sat next to Fran Fraschilla as well, and here's the difference between you guys, and this is why you're passionate about it. You've had skin in the game at one point, so obviously the officials and the job they do have an impact on your ability to coach basketball games. But I was smiling in my living room, Mr. Dawkins.
What they really have an impact on is your family life, your health, your happiness, your self-worth.
In that order?
Pretty much.
Hardaway off of one leg, knocks it in from the right side.
He's good. You're going to see between him and Glenn Robinson Jr. or the third, they jump up nice with really nice strokes.
Williams hit the basket. They're getting a little bit of daylight here, just not able to knock down the shots. And a turnover by Michigan. Rodriguez, sophomore season from Miami. Spradley. McGruder picks up the loose ball. And it's Burke who chases it down.
Something important that's happening early for Michigan. Their guards are helping on the glass. Okay, we've seen Hardaway get his hand on a couple of balls. Burke gets that one. The guys inside are going to be engaged with the bodies of Kansas State, and therefore the guards have got to compete on the glass as well.
Kansas State substitutions.
100%. Because when you look out here, the one trait that is in Kansas State's favor is simple ball. Like, you know, you look at Thomas Gibson, number 42. I mean, he is massive.
That is a big dude.
Because McGary's a big dude, too. But they've got 2 big dudes out there right now. And you're right, guards have to clean up everything. Wouldn't be surprised if Trey Burke doesn't lead the team in rebounding. They're just picking up extra loose change, as Raptor said.
Speaking of big dudes, number 50, DJ Johnson, in trying to guard Glenn Robinson III, knocks down the top.
Robinson, Hardaway.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
From New York City, the day after Thanksgiving. Wonderful day outside and inside Madison Square Garden. College basketball tournament action. Rodney McGruder, a little bit of a struggle to the start of his senior season for Kansas State. Today trying to lead the Wildcats to a win against Trey Burke and Michigan. Burke, the Big Ten's freshman of the year, and off to a great start to his sophomore season. The NIT season tip-off championship game is next. Welcome to Madison Square Garden and the NIT season tip-off, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. 4th-ranked Michigan and Kansas State playing for the championship. And here's how the Wildcats got there. They struggled with their shot. They needed inside play, and they went to Thomas Gibson, who came up with 12.6 rebounds. Kansas State getting by Delaware by 3. And as for 4th-ranked Michigan, wasn't easy. They trailed Pittsburgh at half. They were down 7 in the second half. But Trey Burke, Glenn Robinson III, freshman. And Tim Hardaway Jr., 11 of his 16 points coming in the second half. Michigan wins over Pittsburgh to advance to this championship game. And here are the brackets. We're down to 2 in the NIT season tip-off. Number 4 Michigan against Kansas State. And we welcome you courtside to Madison Square Garden with Dan Dockich, Doris Burke. I'm Mark Kestisher. Dan, what do you expect Kansas State and Michigan tonight?
Well, first let me say what a thrill it is to work with Doris Burke in the Garden.
On her birthday.
How about that? We're going to sing later. For Michigan, transition offense. They want to get the ball down the floor. The coaching staff knows when you play against a Bruce Weber coach team, they can lock in on you defensively, and then they've got to keep Kansas State off the backboard. 18 offensive rebounds Kansas State had against Delaware. For Kansas State, contain Trey Burke, and make sure you find somebody inside. We talked about Thomas Gibson, 12 and 6. He was the difference. Diaz, Henriquez, or Gibson, somebody's got to give him something inside.
Doris, take us to our one-on-one for this matchup.
Well, Bruce Weber told us earlier today, Trey Burke is the guy in transition because he only scored one. And if Stauskas comes off the bench and makes shots, good luck checking Michigan. Good luck.
Stauskas is really good. The coaching staff thinks he has swagger when he comes in the game. He's looking to shoot. Jump up a little bit.
Highest ranking in 16 years for Michigan, coming in at number 4. Here's a big boy matchup. Gibson underneath. And look at the crash to the glass for Michigan.
Complete different game Michigan is playing than Delaware did against Kansas State on the backboard.
Gary will get himself to the free throw line.
Glenn Robinson III. A lot of these rookies from Michigan don't play like rookies. Nice and smooth, pretty looking jumper.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. And the new Kia Optima limited midsize sedan. Elegance, performance, technology.
Michigan holding Kansas State scoreless in the opening 4.5 minutes. We got a guy who keeps some people scoreless in the house. The great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I think when the discussion of the greatest players of all time comes around, nobody mentions him. And for me personally, he would be either number 1 or number 2 for what I remember him to be. I don't know what you feel, Doris, but that guy never gets talked about as the greatest of all time. And you can put whatever he did as a basketball player up against anybody, anytime, anywhere.
I was a Laker fan. Well, I'm an East Coast girl. When the Lakers and Celtics were squaring off, I was a Laker fan. So I was a huge Kareem fan. 75th anniversary of March Madness. So they're honoring the moments. Kareem, Christian Laettner, and one Mr. David Thompson will be honored at halftime of this game. Those are pretty good names.
Wow. I mean, I just remember as a kid, I was a Bulls fan, and he was with Milwaukee, and you had to, like, every time he got the ball, it's like, okay, you can't stop him. He's going to make a shot.
Triple team.
Yeah, that was it.
I was telling Doris earlier, I'm feeling old. That's 20 years ago, the shot against Duke for Christian Laettner.
It's unbelievable. We were in a plane. We had just gotten to the Final Four in Indiana, beat UCLA, and we thought we were playing Kentucky when Sean Woods hit the shot.
In my estimation.
Doris, you can always get a bad shot.
Yes.
Jordan Henriquez, one of 3 players from Kansas State, coming back home to New York, and a whistle up high off that switch. Jordan Morgan will get tagged with his first personal.
Okay, you're a coach, Dan. Your reaction to Mr. Morgan committing that foul.
Exactly what John Beilein says. Look right here. Mitch McGary's coming in for him. Because, Doris, you know a guy's not ready to play if he's going to commit that foul. And this is the second game in a row. Matt Vogrit's got beat twice in the first 2 minutes the other night against Pittsburgh. Took him right out. It's the value of having a deep bench and trusting that bench.
Mitch McGary around there, one of the exciting freshmen on the floor now for Michigan.
Yeah, at one point in time, number 4 for Michigan was the number 1 rated high school recruit in the country. He ended up in the top 20, fell a little bit, but at one point he was number 1.
7 seconds to shoot. Spradling gets an open shot. Offensive work contested for, but ripped away by Robinson III. Burke with that great explosive step into the front court, tipped out of bounds by Spradling. He is one quick player.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Rodriguez, we talk about what he has to do offensively, Dan. He's got to try to stay in front of Trey Burke, which is no easy job. Do you like what you've seen defensively? First couple possessions from Rodriguez.
I think it's been great.
Yeah.
I think it's been great. And to your point, watch number 13. He doesn't have to pressure Burke, but exactly what you said. He has to keep him in front. If he gets too close, Burke's going to beat him. But just keeping him in front is huge. Because Burke will make a bad pass if he doesn't have room and if he sees a defender in front of him.
Here's Burke attacking the lane. Hardaway Jr. And the rebound to Kansas State. Both teams 0 for 2 from the field. Another open jumper, Magruder. Uncharacteristic the way he has started his senior campaign. A block foul called.
You know what? Against number 8.
Well, here you're going to see a little bit of defense, and the official, you see him trailing. I don't want to get on officials early, but that official didn't hustle, and he didn't see